We often ask after a conference championship to get a player for a team, but not just any player. In all the years I've been doing this, I love guys that not only play the game, but think the game, and he's humble, so he's not going to admit this, but Logan Ryan's one of my favorite guys. This is his 6th conference championship. The Niners picked him up later in the season. The last time we were on, I said to you, somebody's got to pick you up. It's got to be the right. So the day the Niners call you, let's go back to that day, Logan. I think it's a perfect marriage, right? Because they need you to be good immediately. They need you to figure out the playbook. This is a veteran team with a lot of dudes. Go back to the day they called.
Well, man, appreciate it, Colin. Thanks for having me. It's actually a funny story. The Niners called me when I was boarding a Disney cruise with my family. It was my first Thanksgiving. I haven't been playing football since I was 6 years old. Thanksgiving's ruled by football. So there's very little family traditions for me. I'm usually working, practicing on the road, or having a game. And so me not being on a team, I told the wife, let's do something different. Let's go on a cruise. Let's get away, figure out what our traditions are going to be as a family post-football. And as I'm boarding the Disney cruise ship, John Lynch calls me. And I said, John, I need a week because I can't get off this cruise. My wife's going to kill me. So the Niners gave me a week. I started running on that Disney treadmill every morning. They didn't consume as many beverages and ice creams as I would have. And I joined the team a week or two after a Disney cruise and played in a game immediately. So it's quite a funny story. And John told me after the game last night, I'm glad we called you before that cruise took off because you weren't going to have connection.
I got to ask you, it is an interesting team. I said all week that I thought Detroit was a younger version of you. Left tackle, great running back, star tight end, weapons, edge rusher. They're just kids. You're a veteran team. Being in San Francisco all your years in the NFL, over a decade, talk about the personality, the intelligence, and just the institutional knowledge this roster has.
Yeah, well, everyone asks me a lot of times, coming from the Patriot dynasty and winning 2 Super Bowls, what's it like? What's it feel like? What's the team like? The moment I walked into the 49ers facility, I said, this is a Super Bowl team. This is what a Super Bowl team looks like. This is what it feels like. This is what it trains like. The day I came in was a Tuesday. That's a typical off day in the NFL. I came in and did a tryout on a Tuesday. Brock Purdy was in the building on Tuesday. Fred Warner was lifting. Dre Greenlaw was lifting. Bosa was in there. Bosa lifts every single day after practice. And I saw about 90% of the starters in there on a Tuesday getting treatment or working out. I'm like, yeah, that's different. That's what I do on Tuesdays.
Right.
So I think Detroit's toughness comes from the head coach, and he drafts players and he instills that into the players.
Yeah.
I think our toughness comes from the players. Trent Williams is tough. Christian McCaffrey is tough. Kittle blocks and catches tough. Ayuk blocks better than any probably receiver in the league, as well as run routes, pretty tough. Fred Warner, Bosa, these guys are tough players. That's just how we are. That's just how it's wired already. It doesn't have to be taught. It doesn't have to be spoke. It doesn't have to be motivated. You already got that character in there, So those are players that can withstand some adversity like these slow starts we've been having in the first half.
Take us, if you could. We're very lucky to have you. Now you can talk about it. Go to halftime. What was the mood in the locker room? Because I said this earlier. You didn't panic. I felt some panic late for Baltimore. You did not panic, and you were down. I mean, that first half, Logan, I'm like, are we going to see a blowout? What's going on here? What was the mood like in the locker room?
Yeah, it was I think I was one of the few players that have experience of being down a lot in a big game, being down 20-3 in a Super Bowl. So I sat there and it was pretty quiet. It was quiet, and I just kept saying, this is going to be the best comeback in this team's history. We're coming back. We just got to get stops. We got to stop messing around and just get stops. And Fred spoke a little bit. Bosa was on the ground with a heat pack on his back. And he's like, guys, just take away his first look, and we're going to get there in the second half. And we just needed to I don't know if we needed to calm down. I don't know what it was, but we just need to fight to get stops. And when this defense is able to get stops, our offense is able to normally control the clock and put the game away and score. And I think every possession in the second half they scored. So there was no panic. There was no screaming, yelling. There was no pushing. There was no fiery speeches. It just was like, come on, enough's enough. Like, and we erased that deficit in one quarter. The score was tied by the fourth quarter.
Yep.
So, zero panic. The team hasn't been there before, not that big of a deficit, but you couldn't tell. There was a lot of belief in that locker room.
Logan Ryan joining us. Logan, when Detroit decides to go for it instead of kick the field goal. Now, analytics say a lot of things. Yeah, okay, so you're shaking your head. So what did you make of it?
That's the wrong call. I don't coach. But I'm like, why would you do that? Because you can go up 3 scores, or if we stop you, the momentum is already shifting our way. And one thing I learned about these big comebacks is momentum to every series. You got one team clock watching and worry about the lead. You got another team going for it. Now they got momentum, then a turnover, then a score, then a fourth down stop. It's momentum, and it's a snowballing effect. I think the field goal could have maybe took some momentum away.
Yeah.
But they went for it. That's how they got there. That's how Detroit got there. They knew that. They got in that game by taking chances, and that's what they're about, and going for it more than any team in fourth down in the league on fourth down. So that's their DNA, and they went for it. Right or wrong, analytics say it's even, but they didn't get it. So thankfully for us.
So Brock Purdy, and J-Mac says I don't like him. It's not that, but I do think a young quarterback can land in a lot of places. Like C.J. Stroud has a rookie coach, a rookie play caller, a O-line that's beat up, and wins. And I'm like, okay, timeout. Yeah. We're watching this is juice. We're watching something that's unique. It is. I've made the comparison. Brock Purdy sort of stepped into a Mercedes, and they just said, "Don't drive it into a tree." This is a really nice ride. But I think, in fairness, he's better than that. I think I've been not complimentary enough. What do you see not only yesterday, Logan, but at practice? What is he? What's fair?
Man, he's a consistent decision maker. And we know he's an elite processor because that's what Shanahan wants.
Yeah.
Shanahan doesn't want quarterbacks going rogue in his system. Why? The system's too good. He's had success with almost any and every quarterback. And Purdy is a better processor than all of them.
Yeah.
That's what Jimmy did. But Purdy does it better, more consistently. And what you saw from Purdy, and what people don't know, and I played against him last year, his first game, and I was in Tampa. He's got this dog in him, man. He's got this dog in him that he does go rogue. When the play's not there, that's when the wheels start coming out. And you see he takes those shots. Even in the Baltimore game, when he threw 4 interceptions, he was still throwing it down the field late in the game. And Shanahan told us, I work with many quarterbacks, and when quarterbacks throw interceptions early in a game, they either go immediately to their check down, or they start taking sacks because they don't want to throw more interceptions. Purdy went in that game, and he's still firing. And he didn't play great in the first half. A lot of quarterbacks, Patrick Mahomes doesn't always play great in the first half. I see Tom Brady not play great in the first half, but they come out firing in that second half. And I think Purdy, every single drive in the second half, if it wasn't there, he was getting the first down with his legs. He was making a throw, to move the chains. He was throwing a deep ball to Ayuk. He was making the right protections and the right checks and getting the offense into a positive thing. So I think you got to understand he's got to deal with Shanahan, who's going to put him in position to run the system. But he also has this thing about him I think Shanahan really likes, and that's to go off script, and he knows when to do it. And I think that's what people don't realize. And that just leads to winning. The kid's a winner.
Logan, in a weird way, you face a team. So Detroit, great tight end, big time back, one really excellent receiver, and that's what Kansas City offers. A really good back, one big. Rashee Rice has really become a nice player. Do you think when you just think of Kansas City, you've been in the AFC. If I say here comes Kansas City, what do you expect this thing to kind of look like? Because big game Kansas City, big game Niners. This is a better offensive team for San Francisco than the last Super Bowl. May not be as stacked defensively, but you can argue it's getting better. What do you expect from Kansas City?
Anytime I play Patrick Mahomes in my career, it goes down to the last play. It goes down to the wire. They're never out of it. No lead's ever safe with him. And I don't think any lead's safe with us. And I don't think the Niners had that history of coming back. But I think this team is built to play from ahead. I think this team's also built to play from behind now. And, for this game to go how we want it to go, we're going to have to control the game up front, and we're going to have to run the ball against them. I think we have a great rushing attack. I think McCaffrey is the best back in the league by far. And we have great run scheme. But I also think we have to stop the run better. I think we have to control the run.
Yeah.
And then obviously that puts it on Mahomes when you know how that's going to go. But if we can control the run, we can control the clock a little bit. And we got to get stops. And I think every time we get stops on defense, we're close to a win because Shanahan and them will figure it out.
Listen, 45 million people probably watch that game. And you have done well for yourself. You could leave at any time. When you're in a game like that, is there ever a moment that you sit back, Logan? You've been in now, I think it's 6 conference championships. Do you ever say to yourself, you're sitting there thinking, I'm going to miss this. This is just it's like World Cup stuff in our country. Do you ever soak in the moment at the end of a game like that and realize the country's watching?
It's funny, as my career is probably winding down here, don't know how many left. I don't know how many more conference championships I'm going to get. Six is pretty awesome. But that one right there, shout out to Detroit. Those fans traveled. You had a lot of blue in the stands. You had a lot of red in the stands. It was 70 and sunny. I played in some New England where it's like, 20 degrees and it's 9 o'clock at night and you can't even see anyone's face because everyone's bundled up, right? I'm not even looking in the stands, but because it's so dang cold. But that was just beautiful weather, beautiful grass field, America's sport, 2 great fan bases. It was loud, man. That was one of the loudest games I've ever played in. I think I played in every stadium. It's going to be loud in the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl is not that loud. We know that. So that was one of the craziest environments I played in. And, and it was just really cool back and forth. And we were down and, we fought back. And it was a great fourth quarter. And, the sun set beautifully. I was honestly taking it all in, taking all those moments. And it was a beautiful environment for football. And it was blessed. I got my kids out there running, in the confetti after the game, and they're old enough to appreciate this now and have these memories with them. So it all came full circle for me. But yeah, no, that was a great environment. Shout out to Detroit. Those fans were awesome. They made it. No one's packed our stadium like that since I've been here. And Detroit, they showed up.
Logan, I owe you a real solid. You're a busy guy. I'm really happy for you. Whatever you do with your career, it will be fitting that it ends potentially in a Super Bowl, or you stay in San Francisco and win more football games because that's what they do in the Bay Area. I want to thank you for taking time for us today. You didn't have to, and I always appreciate it.
Anytime, man. Appreciate you guys.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.